Greeting and welcome to the Intensive Success Growth. I'm your host, Nishant Sharma. Please give warm welcome to Lauren. Lauren is a Emmy Award news and podcast host and founder. Welcome, Lauren.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Okay, let me start with this. What happened? Where were you? Who were you surrounded with that inspired you to do what you do today?
Yeah, it's funny. I kind of fell into television, so I'm not even sure who inspired me to do that. But certainly with the podcasting, just in the last year, I was on a walk with one of my best girlfriends. We were talking, and she just says to me, "You should start a podcast." And I was like, "No, I'm not going to do that. That sounds like a lot of work." The very next day, my husband randomly says to me, "I think you should start a podcast." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And then 2 days after that, two girlfriends here at work at the TV station where I work said, "Lauren, we wish you'd start a podcast. Your podcast would be so great." And I thought, 3 times in 1 week, 4 different people telling me to start a podcast. Okay, I get it, right? Like there's enough breadcrumbs. Here's the loaf. So I said, okay, I'll start a podcast. What's it going to be about? And so then that was when the real work began.
Okay. What are the top three reasons why do people fail?
I think they don't believe in themselves, number one. Number two, they don't think they deserve it. I think deep down, there's a lot of us that think we don't deserve the success, and we block ourselves from ever reaching what we really could reach. We are limitless if we just believe we're limitless. And then number three, I think people probably get so close and then give up, right? So I probably number one and number three are in my book pretty similar. So in my mind, I think it comes down to those two things: is we give up too soon. And then number two, I think a lot of people think they don't deserve it. Okay.
What is your greatest failure story? What did you learn and how did you recover from it?
What's funny is I'm only just recovering from what I think was my greatest failure, not even realizing it was my greatest failure. When I was a teenager, this is going to sound silly. When I was a teenager, I think probably 14 years old, I ran for an elected position in my high school. And I thought I was assured to win. And when I didn't win, it set me on this course of never hoping for things, because I thought if I set the bar low, I can never be disappointed like that again. It's only been now at the age of 37, almost 25 years later, that I realized how that failure hurt me the rest of my life. And I'm only just beginning to understand how to undo that. And so my greatest failure was being a teenager, thinking that I wasn't allowed to hope for things. I wasn't allowed to dream for things because I would only be disappointed. And so now as an adult, I'm rewriting that for myself. I'm relearning it even now as we speak, of I am worthy of that success. I am a hard worker. I don't have to work even harder. I deserve the success that's coming my way. So that's the long story, right? Of a 25-year story of a failure that is now being undone.
Okay. What's your success secrets that other can model from you?
It's no secret. I think you have to get your mind right. I think and the research shows that this is not an overnight thing. It's months upon months, years upon years of undoing whatever damage you've done to yourself, the traumas we've stored in our body, the energy that we have to release. Is it a secret? No. I think ancient cultures have known this for thousands of years. I think in our current modern way of living, we think, especially in this country, that we can force everything, right? We're a capitalistic society. Everybody is judged based on output. So you're going to force the output. You're going to force the success. It couldn't be more opposite. If you've already put in the work and you've already set your sights on what it is that you're going to do, you have to allow those things to happen on the timeline they need to happen at. So I think that's, again, not a secret, but it's something that so few people are willing to do, is just allow the success to happen at the timeline it's meant to happen.
Okay. What motivates you within?
Say that again.
What motivates you within?
I think initially my kids were a major motivator for me to change my life. My kids are 6, 3, and 1. I have always carried a lot of stress, like a very high stress level. Every time I'd get blood work done or any sort of things done, just, an annual checkups from the doctor, they would always say to me, your adrenal glands are shot. Like you live at such a high stress level. You need to figure something out. And I was always like, oh no, it's no big deal. No big deal. And then once I had children, again, they're just really young, I started realizing there is something bigger than me, right? I need to take care of my body for them. I need to create a life situation that shows them that I can be happy, that shows them I can be successful, that shows them that I can be and a mom and a news anchor and a podcaster and a wife and a sister, and so I think it's not even necessarily a from within. My children are such a major, major motivation for me.
Okay. What's your company motto?
I don't have one.
Okay.
But the particular things that really, are resonant for me, it's always about finding purpose right now, finding meaning, finding fulfillment, connecting people with what it is they're meant to do. I just know from my own experience, interviewing thousands of people in my career, asking thousands of questions of people just over and over again throughout the years that I've done this. The people who live life with purpose are happier. They live longer. I mean, they're the biological markers of what happens when we feel like we're living with a sense of purpose. It's all over the research. And I think that we all deserve that. I think we all need to find that. We have to allow ourselves to find that, but it does start within. So what's the motto? No pretty, beautiful sentences to just string out for you. But I think we are all powerful enough to change our lives in a way that brings purpose.
Who is your ideal client?
Someone who knows their life isn't what it needs to be and wants purpose. Someone who's already woken up to the fact that things aren't right, that they aren't who they're supposed to be, that they have more potential than what they've even tapped. That's who is my main listener, and particularly an educated woman in her 30s, oftentimes with a career.
How do you deliver 5-star client experience?
I think it's through the information, and I think it's also through connection. I strive to create community around the idea that we can all find purpose. And so if we can all connect on that idea, realizing, hey, here's a conversation I want to have. I'm not sure if there's anyone I can have this conversation with. Well, you can have it with Lauren. You can have that conversation through the podcast. There are a lot of people who are waking up to the idea that there is more in their lives. And so I think that's how I deliver the experience, is creating the conversations and allowing them to happen organically.
How do you handle rejections?
Well, differently now than I used to. I think when I was younger, before I lived with purpose, I'd say, I took rejection very hard. And I spent a lot of energy, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of that toward, it's not so much making someone happy or making someone like me. I think I spent it in self-loathing. I think that's how I spent it. But now, choosing, in my mind, a path of purpose, I see rejection differently. I see it as, oh, okay, well, I'm not meant for that person. That's fine. So I'm creating a community of people I am meant for. you know, I'm creating this community of people who do want the things I want. So to me, it's not rejection, it's attraction. It's an attraction of what actually needs to be there and the people who need to be there.
Okay. What are you grateful for today?
No, God, I could talk for an hour about all the things I'm grateful for. Actually, I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful that I have been put on this earth to bring forth the project that I'm working on. I'm so grateful for that. I'm grateful for my family, who isn't, you know, like the health of my family, the health of my kids, because I just see every day in my day-to-day life how wrong things can go. I mean, when you're reading newscasts every single day, it's all death, it's all destruction, it's all that. And so every single day I have a highlight or a low light reel from other people's lives where I can say, wow, I have so much to be grateful for. And so, I mean, I think the main things are health, family, and then again, that I have found this purpose that ignites me, you know, to help other people do the same.
Okay. How do you start your day?
Oh, well, with kids. So if anyone has young kids, it starts the same. Like they wake me up. What's funny is when it's winter time, they'll sleep until it's, you know, when it starts getting light. So in where I live in Nashville, it gets light right now at 5:30 in the morning. So we're in the height of summer, 5:30 in the morning. They're awake no later than 5:50 or 6. But in the winter time, they'll sleep in later. And so they'll sleep until 7 maybe. So during those days that have longer dark hours, I actually go to yoga in the morning. So I'll go and do my yoga practice at 5:45 and get home by 7, and then they're waking up and it works out. But in the summertime, I mean, they wake up so early, I can't go do it because they need me there. So it always starts getting kids out the door, going, you know, either to kindergarten or right now summer camp or going to preschool or whatever. And then once they're out of the house, then I can have time to either do, you know, my journaling or just to have some stillness. Having a gratitude practice is part of it, actually. So it's funny that you asked me about gratitude, because I do feel like gratitude is one of those high emotions. And if we can live in a state of gratitude, you know, like how much just begins to fall into place when you're living life from that space. So yeah, and then I go to work, you know, so I come to the news station, I do newscasts and all of that. And then when I come back home, it's more kids. And then at nighttime, I work more on the podcast. But I really do try to spend a lot of time in reflection in the morning once kids are out the door.
Okay. How young are you?
Well, I'm 37. So I'm doing all.
Yeah, you are not 37-year young. You are 18-year young with 19-year experience.
I like that. I'm going to have to start saying that.
Okay. Who is your living mentor and what's the impact?
Oh, wow. Gosh, I have different mentors. I don't have just one. I have so many people I'm learning from right now. And I feel like they're teachers. You know, I've started to call them, as I talk about them, I call them teachers. I have a new, someone in my news anchor role who's been I would say he's a mentor. His name's Les Van. And he's just, you know, someone who believed in me and still checks on me. And I just love him. He's always someone who's given me perspective. Now, in this last year and a half, as I've been creating the podcast and changing my life and, you know, starting to help other people change theirs too, there have been a couple of women who have sort of just come to me, who have been also beautiful, beautiful mentors and teachers, because they've allowed me the space to bounce ideas off of, you know. And I'm, again, at 37 saying, is this true? Like, is this my idea of life? Is this true? You know, and then having a 63-year-old woman say to me, yeah, and actually here's this, and like deepening my awareness. And that's been beautiful. But yeah, you know, all of my mentors or teachers are a good deal older than me. They're all in their 50s or 60s. And I just feel like there's so much experience they've lived that I feel like when you have this heart of gratitude and this willingness to learn, this willingness to be teachable, I think there's just so much that you can, you know, gain. and skip some of your own trials. There's no reason to go through hardship if you've got someone right there who's like, let me help you. Don't do that. Don't do this. Don't do that. Do this. This is going to make it easier for you. And for that, I'm just incredibly grateful.
Can I invite your mentor in my show?
Say that again?
Can I invite your mentor in my show?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So what's your plan to achieve your goal?
What is my plan right now? It's funny because I'm actually developing it right now. So you're talking to me at a time where I've only recently in the last few weeks set a new intention for what it is that I really want for this podcast to achieve, and what I really want out of my career. Funny enough, I started working on an even deeper level, more intense level of that just in the last few days. So how am I going to do it? I think for me, the recipe is going to be spending more time in stillness, connecting with what I really want, and then allowing. I think that's one of the major, that is my lesson. My lesson is going to be one of allowing. How do I allow things to happen? So how am I going to get there? Not by pushing. I've already done so much work, and I'm at a space. Instead of gripping the wheel, I'm actually taking my hands off the wheel and saying, all right, the people who need to be a part of this are coming to me.
Okay. What advice you will give younger yourself?
I laugh because I think my younger self wouldn't listen.
Okay.
There is no advice I would give, because the life that I've lived up to this point had to be lived in the way it was lived for me to reach this point. But maybe I would just say an encouragement. I would give no advice. I would just give an encouragement and say, you're going to be okay. It's going to be fine. Just hold on.
Okay. How can we support you?
Listen to the podcast. Yeah. Listen and review. Yeah. Listen and review the podcast. I do two types of one type of interview. I either interview people who are experts in the field of finding fulfillment, finding meaning, or I interview people who I call prototypes, who have found purpose. And so it's really a podcast about telling the personal journey of how someone got there, the pitfalls, the moments of clarity, the turning points, like any good story with the hero and heroine. It's like that. And it's in long form interviews. The other thing I do is do Lauren only solo cast episodes where I take a lesson that I'm learning at that point and I break it out, show what the research says about that particular thing, and then give someone a way to sort of address that if they're dealing with the same thing in their own life. And so it's two types of episodes really is what it is. So I'd say listen and review.
Okay. What would you like to say about your guest experience on this show?
Oh, it's been nice. You've asked nice questions. I appreciate that, because I just like being able to reflect. And so often I'm rarely the one answering questions. I'm always the one asking questions. And so it's fun to be on the other side.
Okay. What's your final word?
I just want to say thanks. Thanks for allowing me to share some of my story and what I'm doing. It's important work. What you're doing is important. And I appreciate you giving a platform to people doing things like that.
Okay. Thanks, Lauren, for sharing your wisdom with us. On the behalf of our community and team, we really appreciate you. Until the next time, all good wishes to you.
All right, Nishant, thank you.